I was looking through the vehicles, thinking what should my next video be about, and when I saw what rounds are used by Japanese tank destroyer CHLG, which stands for long gun, I knew that I found it. The vehicle has 120mm cannon, quite big for its battle rating, and uses high explosive rounds. And you would expect it to be just like the majority of early artillery-like vehicles in this game, with all the downsides of big caliber high explosive rounds. But this one, in addition to using high explosive, has semi-armor piercing high explosive shells, which not only maintains nearly 2 kilograms of explosives, but at the same time has increased penetration. And I don't want to offend those poor crew members sitting here without any cover, but the penetration of this semi-armor piercing round goes through the roof. It can penetrate around 100mm of armor, which is quite common at vehicles' battle rating, but it's common for tanks that use rounds that are designed to penetrate armor. They don't have 2 kilograms of explosives inside that can destroy nearby lighter vehicles even without direct hit. For example, most popular low-tier tanks, such as T-34 or Shermans, they have even less penetration despite a higher battle rating. Needless to say, but I will say that anyway, this semi-armor piercing round is superior in damage to pretty much any tank up until higher tiers. It completely wrecks everything that it penetrates. There were just a few cases when the opponent was not one-shotted, and that only happens with bigger vehicles or when the round is blocked by engine. I would say one-shot rate is roughly 90%. And you must be thinking now, okay, that must be a really cool shell, it has the penetration of armor piercing round and the damage of high explosive one. But I am not finished yet. It also has very high muzzle velocity, 825 meters per second. I'm not even comparing it to other high caliber artillery vehicles. The same T-34 and Shermans have slower projectiles. Pretty much all vehicles this tank destroyer can meet in battle will use slower rounds. Is this even legal? You can hit distant targets with your massive round full of explosives easier than almost anyone else with weaker shells. And the last additional little bonus of semi-armor piercing round is that you can shoot through walls and trees, since they won't activate the projectile's fuse too early. While having a good firepower, at the same time this tank destroyer of course has quite a list of downsides, but nothing too extreme that you wouldn't find on other vehicles. First of all, the reload speed is approximately twice longer than average at these tiers. With aced crew it reaches 10 seconds, which is not bad at all for 120mm caliber cannon, but any missed shot will leave you vulnerable for a while, and it is easy to miss your shots, especially if you are fire while moving, since a large unstabilized cannon swings badly. Also, the vehicle can carry a very limited number of rounds into battle. I always took the maximum amount, which is 10. Taking less doesn't make much sense. 10 rounds is already quite small amount, and tank destroyer survivability almost won't be affected since all shells are stored in a single box at the back. If opponent's rounds have reached your ammo box, it already went through your vehicle anyways. Another downside and additional reason to take the maximum amount of rounds into battle is the vehicle's mobility, which is comparable to heavy tanks. On good roads, it eventually reaches maximum speed of 40 kph, while on average terrain up to 35, under the condition that you don't make any turns, since then the tank will lose most of its momentum. Reverse is 6 kph. Not too bad, but at the same time nothing to be proud of. With such mobility, it can take a while to reach the nearest captured point for additional rounds, and if you don't have any points captured by your team, you are in serious trouble when out of ammunition. In that case, there is only one solution: death. Luckily, the tank destroyer is designed in such a way that dying is very simple. All crew members must be really jealous since driver is the only one that has roof over its head, while the rest are located on top of the vehicle, poorly protected by a couple of 10mm plates. Explosive rounds, artillery, planes, everything will help you to reach the hangar screen as soon as opponents saw your vehicle. Someone might notice that no armor might actually be useful against APHE rounds, since their fuse won't be triggered, and there is truth to that, but most of the tanks have machine guns that are even more deadly to this vehicle than main gun fire. Hull's 25mm armor protects only the driver and only from machine gun fire. In many cases, getting hit will disable your gunner or driver, and then you can't move or shoot back and basically become a sitting duck, or kneeling crew member in this case, since apart from its cannon, the vehicle has no smoke screen or machine gun, not even artillery. Just like many tank destroyers, this one is also vulnerable to flanking, especially when your engine is damaged, since the gun has horizontal guidance that is limited to 60 degrees to each side. The most effective way to play this tank destroyer is to stay behind the contact line and support your teammates from further away with your superior firepower. Superior both in damage and how easily you can aim at longer distances. In perfect scenario, you want to stay near the captured point so you don't need to worry about missing shots and running out of ammo. And if you can find a hill nearby so that you can take advantage of 10 degrees guns depression, I would say that you have a perfect camper spot. Pretty much what this vehicle is designed for. In arcade, the most notable thing is increased survivability. Now it's not enough to simply knock out all crew members on top of the vehicle with a machine gun, since a tank is not considered destroyed as long as you have a driver. But at the same time, you become much easier to notice because of name tags. Inability to hide for such squishy vehicles as this one is way worse, and increased survivability cannot compensate for that. Other than that, I didn't notice any significant differences in gameplay. Your projectiles still one-shot opponents, and aiming was easy even without the aiming cross already. Since in arcade everyone is always taking cover and even then moving back and forth like crazy, there are no stationary targets, so expect to miss more often. And that's when your own increased mobility becomes useful, since you will run out of ammo quite frequently in this game mode, but at least driving towards a captured point to replenish ammunition is not so time consuming. In general, the vehicle was pleasant to play, mostly because I was able to rely on its damage. As long as I kept opponents destroyed, the survivability wasn't an issue. I would rate this tank destroyer 7 long guns out of 10. It is a great vehicle in terms of firepower. Rounds deal a lot of damage, fantastic muzzle velocity makes it easy to engage distant targets, it feels amazing when providing fire support. Though sometimes you have to go in to capture points, and slow vehicles with crew members in the open are simply not designed for this task. But as long as you can utilize the destroyer's strong side and have someone else to do all the driving, capturing and getting hit, you will have a great time with this vehicle.